I know I went through quite a bit there. I'm going to hand it over to Nikki Brinson, who's going to help you understand a little bit better the workflow that we'll be going through in the program.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nikki Brinson with the Colorado State Conservation Board, and we're kind of go over the logistics and the program workflow. So as Ryan just kind of went over, we're rolling out the STAR program through the soil health program at the Colorado Department of Agriculture. The key is to roll out one program to our conservation districts and eligible entities on that list that Ryan shared with you. And the most challenging piece is rolling one program out with various grants. So as Ryan mentioned, there were several grants coming in. We actually have a total of 7 that we're managing in the background. And as all of you know, in our experience with working with the complexities of various grants and funding sources and timelines and contracts, all that kind of fun stuff, STAR is really kind of our perfect example of the best utilization of grant funding, taking all those resources of grants and rolling it out into one program. We are setting it up to operate for the conservation districts for everybody, but for those in the conservation districts, very similar to how Abby Gray handles DCT and matching grants, where you will have kind of a centralized contact, but the program will be one program. The biggest funding is for the contracts for the STAR program. Of course, we have, Ryan mentioned, that stimulus soil health money is a part of each of them. And then you are kind of divided into those categories of what we were referring to as 319, as the CPP grant, and as the SIG grant. So those are kind of the 3 major grants that just have some minor variances in their contracts. For this first year, we were rolling it out as a 1-year contract. I do know that it's a 3-year commitment. All of you are on board for that. We're just dealing with some contracting things internally at CDA. So we will either extend this first year contract for the other 2 years, or we will have to amend one every single year, but we're hoping to just extend them after this first year. We're just trying to get the money out to you as soon as possible so you can get that initial capacity building dollars and get going on that. This is kind of the snapshot overview. So of course, you will be getting the initial capacity. Once we send you the PO, you just have someone on your board or designated person sign on the first page. There isn't an actual signature line because the dollar amounts are so low. Just sign on that first page and send it back to us, and we can get that paid right away. You also have the producer incentive payments where the producers will be getting matched for their participation. And you'll have the additional capacity dollars that will be coming in that the entity or district will be paid per producer. In addition, we have some more information on those equipment grants and what kind of process you'll need for those, because those will only be available this year as they are directly tied 100% with that stimulus funding. This is a different way to look at the same information. You have that initial $20,000. We will pay that right away with a signed PO. I know that we sent out the 319 contracts because we had those done first, and a couple have already come back. So we will be processing your payments starting tomorrow at CDA. And for those of you that are in SIG or the CPP grant buckets, we will be getting those out to you as soon as possible. For those that signed up in the original application interest form, you do receive an additional $2,000 if you're covering another conservation district. That is paid upon a signed MOU, emailed to that CDA_soil account, and we'll get that payment to you. And then of course, the ongoing capacity payments at the $2,000 per producer for 2022. And those will be paid when you get that first soil sample and you can submit those consultation forms to our email account. We'll get those payments out to you. The producer incentive payments are all at $75 an acre, maximum up to the maximum of $5,000 for each producer. And there's a producer match form that you fill out and submit, and we will get that paid to you. I just wanted to make a note that you will need to kind of watch to make sure that your producers are less than 40% for your board members or their direct family, including in-laws, similar to our other grants. Now, the equipment grants is up to $25,000. And I know there was some confusion on this at first, but the match is required whether the conservation district is buying the equipment or if you're kind of subgranting out to one or a couple of your producers for equipment. So it is a one-to-one match requirement. You have to submit a written plan to us and get us receipts in 90 days. In my next slide, we'll kind of go over this equipment grant a little more. Due to when we have to spend the stimulus funding, we will need that written plan for that equipment grant to our office by October 1st of this year. Keep those receipts for that match required piece. And then to receive the funds with that written plan, you will need a description of the equipment, by whom it will be used, how it will be used, and the anticipated delivery date of that. Once we get that and approve it, we'll get you payment right away. You then have 90 days to make the purchase and then get us those receipts. If a producer receives the grant, so that your district decides to allow a producer to use the grant money, you'll need some additional information on how the grant was solicited. Did you post it in the paper, in the NRCS office, how the producer was selected, and then note if the producer is a board member or a direct family member. Record that in your meeting minutes, which most of you do automatically, and attach those minutes to the written plan when you submit it so that we can get that money to you. Again, you have 90 days to get the purchase done and the final receipts in and email to us at CDA. Oops. And that was the very fast overview of how the details of the funding and money will work. Like I mentioned, it's very similar to our other grants that we roll out, but the entity email is definitely the best for all payments. Again, that's CDA_soil. All of you seem to be using it pretty well already, but that way that'll allows, we will be hiring a grant specialist similar to Abby Gray with the matching grants program, and it will allow that person, myself and Ryan to do the different approvals needed to make sure that we can get you paid as quick as possible and get those processes moving.